Hi all you beautiful friends, family, loved ones. Yeah, I feel it more and more that we are one organism. And I want to thank you all for your very, very wonderful comments after this last video I made about death. It's just, I think also a part of the process of feeling we are coming closer and closer. And as I've said so many times before, what I'm saying, I really feel and wish for you to just use what you can use and just leave the rest. Or if there's something you don't like about what I say or feel is a bit strange, it starts some thinking and some emotions in you, and maybe you feel you grow from it, maybe you feel you are pulled away from me, and slowly we will part, and it's all really beautiful because we will more and more merge with people we resonate with. And also I think it's so beautiful that not two people on this planet are alike. And getting to love the feeling that we are different. We feel differently, we think differently. Whereas the old way of thinking was that we have to match and we have to be the same and we have to have the uniforms on and we have to all look alike. And it is so limiting. So seeing that although you have two lilies growing next to each other, they will never ever be identical. What a beautiful way God has created this, and to love our differences. It's very, very wonderful. So that's also very much what I wish with my channels, is to just give and share with each other and dance, go through this dance in life, giving and sharing, and not becoming a closed group, because that is an illusion, because they will never, if you try to close a group like a church or something else, a cult, it never works, not for very long. So anyway, so yeah, let's do our Sunday shining number. Must be 29 by now. So some of my tea. Just to add a little bit of my personal stuff. I'm not fasting anymore because I don't fast for long times. I just fasted for 3 days. It's very, very uncomfortable. When I reached day 2, later day 2 and day 3 were really uncomfortable. And I had a girlfriend who wanted to come, and so we spent some time together. And that sort of inspired me to start eating again. And so I've embarked on the carnivore trial period, and I'll make some videos about that later. But it is very, very amazing, really, that everything is changing in my body. It's very, very powerful. So yeah, more about that later, but I'm enjoying my food very, very much. So I've written some things down. I don't know exactly how much of this I'm going to share. One of you was writing about the medical world, and I want to just touch on this. I think it's very, very wonderful that if I break my leg, I can go to the hospital, and I live in a country where we pay very high taxes, and you're going to get that repaired. The reality is that often people get very sick in hospitals because it's actually quite a dangerous place, but that's a different story altogether. It is wonderful that there are doctors who are trained to do this job and to fix us that way. And I believe deep in my heart that there are no doctors who are out there to harm. They don't get up in the morning and think, I'm going to go out and harm some people. What I was talking about before is something that is happening subconsciously, it is not something people are aware of, that they are living in the old mind-based, ego-based, fear-based way of thinking, because it has been natural for thousands and thousands of years on this planet. And I'm not saying they're bad people and they're wrong people. It's just to draw the picture of how we have two choices. And I believe there will be a medical world in some way. It's going to be very, very advanced, and I don't know how it's going to be. But if I were to make a hospital today, be a director of a hospital where you can go and get your leg fixed, I would make sure it was a very peaceful place, and where people had this view of life, that one day I'm going to die and it's okay, and they will not fill me with very, very harmful medications to force me to stay alive or anything like that. They will mend my leg, and it will be a very peaceful experience, and it will be a very clean environment with lots of natural bacteria and lots of nature. There will be a big garden or something. It can be done. Hospitals that repair people in ways that are wonderful can be made on this natural-based way of thinking. There's no doubt. And that's what we're going to see in this new earth which is coming and is really here. It's growing and growing, that every single company on this planet will be based on this love-based way of thinking. Everything will be rooted in love and harmony and respect for all of life. And we might need a computer, yes, you need some plastic, you need some this and this and this, but it will be produced in a way that is harmless, and where all the animals of the earth and the oceans and the plants and can live in harmony, and we have respect for them, so that our way of life will not harm. You might slaughter an animal for meat, and that's not harming. As I said, it's not harming, it's butchering for meat, so you have meat on the table. Harming is when you're destroying the places they live, you're destroying the earth with chemicals. That is harming. So I'm completely positive and that this is happening, and that is actually what I feel. This whole coronavirus is one of the. I feel it's a very, very big gift for the earth. Just a sec, I have to cough. It's a very big gift for the earth, and it is all meant to be. Everything that's happening is meant to be, and just seen with the eyes of the heart. We're being asked to go home. We're asked to actually reconnect with our roots, to ourselves. If this situation does not make you go closer to yourself, I don't know what it would do. It forces, and because many people in the modern world are used to getting up, leaving their home and being stimulated by the outside world enormously, and that for many of us, and in our country many people are worked in what do you call it, state. Everything is state operated nearly. Many people are in schools and education systems, banks, well, banks are not part of that, but all this service, what we are paying our taxes to, they are working there and they've been asked to go home. So it's a very huge proportion of our of the people were really in the whole world who have been asked to go home, because it's also all the people who are working in restaurants and so on. And so we are really, as I see it, if you think about the history of man, this is really the way man has lived always. Until a very, very small, a very short time ago. If you see the percentage of the whole human, the life on Earth since the first man until now, you see it that big. It's about that much time, or you probably can't see it. That's the amount of time that we have left our home every morning and gone off and been utterly stimulated from the outside world, and had all this industry and all this that we feel is normal now has never ever been normal. People were in little villages or little clusters of people, maybe 10 together in a little, I mean the Stone Age people, they were not many together, and they were spread out, and they were always home. It was completely natural. And imagine how connected they were to themselves and to nature and to the environment. They weren't used to all this from the outside world, apart from nature, which they were really completely a part of. So the huge reaction we're having is to that construct that we have built up, that has been taken away from us to a large degree, because we still have our computers, we still have all our modern facilities, we still have a lot of things from our life. But really what we're feeling is being taken away from us is this ability to move around like that. And so we're asked to really go back and be quiet, and this has given us an enormous chance to reconnect with who we are. Feel our bodies, as I was mentioning before, feel our bodies, feel how do I feel, what's actually going on in me, and what am I thinking? Who am I really? So and this is maturing us for New Earth, because this is bringing out all the light. If we relax in this, we choose to relax, and we choose to let go, and we choose to not be fearful, our spirit is really going to come forth very, very powerfully during this time. So it's really, really beautiful. I have to cough again. Just a sec. So the channeling I shared the other day by that woman called Asara, which, I think that the message was helpful. And what the was in the message is that now there is created two grid systems around the Earth, and whether it's true or not, I don't know that it's exactly that way, because really it's been there all along, but it's not. It's probably very, very clear now that there is the fear-based grid, and you can be part of that, and there is the love-based grid, and you can be part of that. And so, and what they're saying is when you go into the higher dimensions, when you move into the love-based way of being, you lift yourself not off Earth, but just into a higher vibration. So it's what some people call higher Earth, and it is really, as I see it, New Earth. And as I've said so many times before, you've been given the free will to live in any of the, either one or the other, and you can't really live in both, although we will slide into the fear sometimes in the beginning, but slowly, if we really have taken the choice that we want to live in a love-based reality, we will be more and more in this higher frequency. And it is really the old Earth and New Earth. And so you can have two situations. You could have, there's different ways to see this. You could have two flats with one person in each flat, and they're both in this situation with the coronavirus, and they're living in completely different vibrations, because one has chosen peace and love, and one has chosen fear. And of course their lives will unfold completely differently, And I think just what is so beautiful is that we have been showing very, very clearly now that you are the creator of your life, and it is a decision you make. Do I wish to go into the fear and be a part of that, or do I wish to go into the love and be a part of that? And you are free, and you are eternally loved by God no matter what you do. There's nothing wrong, there's no pressure. Do what feels right for you. So that the person in the fear-based reality has chosen a lifestyle, and often they're not aware that they're choosing it because they're so used to it. When you realize, oh, I can choose to step out of this way of thinking and think differently, that's when they start to awaken. So often they're not aware that they have chosen this way of living, but they have. So when they get up in the morning, their whole view is, okay, I've made this safe space for myself, and I've got all the things I sort of need as much as possible, and I'm going to get up and switch on the different things and see what's wrong out there, how bad it is out there, and what's happening now, and so they start the day that way, in a way, seeing, well, what is my situation now? Because how many are dead, and how many are sick, and how many are this, and how many are that, and what am I going to do now since the situation is that? Because how is my day going to unfold now? Should I buy some more so I feel more safe tomorrow? Or what am I going to do? Because I have to... The outer circumstances are dictating my state of being. And if they say, oh, there's much less death now, or things are looking better in China, you might feel, the person might feel a little bit of relief, or this is better. But often the person will actually say, oh, they're lying. It's probably much worse. So even the good news will not actually be very helpful. But this person is always out to see where is the danger, what's going on now. And in reality, when this virus is gone, there will be something else they will be searching for. Oh, now this is happening. Oh, now there's the wildfires of Australia. Oh, now this is gloom and doom. This is really bad. And I just have to get myself as safe as possible, and maybe do something to try to calm me. Take something to try to calm me, so I can get through this. But the thing is, you never get through it, because when one danger is over, the next one's going to come. Because when you start to awaken, you realize that you're actually addicted to this lifestyle. So that's the picture of the person who wakes up in that flat. And over in the other one, the person has chosen to see this as a part of their journey through life, and it is happening for a reason, because they're meant to grow from it. It is a growth potential for them. And they've realized that they love the feeling of peace. And they know that when, no matter what's happening on that news, that peace feeling, they can choose it. No matter what, before they even turn on the news, if they want to turn on the news, they can choose to feel the peace. And whether it is suddenly something burning there, or suddenly some disease there, they still feel the peace. And they light a candle, or whatever they do. That's the way I do it. And they feel so grateful they are alive. And they can look out the window, and they can open the window, feel the morning air, and feel, here I am. I feel no fear anymore, because I know all is well. And if I do get sick, it's still okay. And how can I blossom this day? In the situation I'm in right now, how can I blossom, and how can I grow? And, oh my goodness, I love my life. And they're exactly the same time, if time exists, they're sitting there in exactly the same seen from the outer world, in exactly the same situation, but they are in two different worlds, these two people. So I actually went onto the internet something in my throat today. And it's not something I really like to do, but sometimes it's good for us to, because so many bad things are happening on the earth, and so I just took the things that I thought, this is really something that I think of, that is also something to feel, as humans, to feel quite embarrassed about. How do we allow this to happen on earth? Because we can avoid this. So I'll just give you the numbers, and if you don't want to listen, you can just skip this part of the video. But as far as I don't know actually how many have died from the coronavirus, whether it's 20,000 or I don't know really. So I didn't go there. But there are so many thousand who have died globally from the coronavirus, and there are many, many more, of course, who have had it and survived and are fine. I just read that Prince Charles has it and he's fine. He has mild, I think, cold symptoms. His wife doesn't have it, but he has it, and he feels fine. He's just at home, like we all are. Most of us are. So let's go through this list of all the things that, just some of the things that are really, really bad that are going on Earth. So every year there's the ordinary flu, which many people have been vaccinated against, and some say the vaccination is actually more dangerous, which, yeah. And this was from 2017, and it is 12 to 16,000 deaths per year from the normal flu, which happens every year. And yeah, all the hospitalizations is much, much more. This happens every year because they know that when the flu comes, this happens. So, and we know about the lifestyle diseases, the diabetes, the cancer, and the heart disease, which are all avoidable if we live a different lifestyle, a more natural lifestyle. And so the people who die from cancer every year, this is all approximate, but it's just to get a view of what is actually going on. So 10 million people a year die from cancer. 18 million people die a year from heart disease. And then I chose some other things that have nothing to do with disease, but this is something that is, I think, very, very horrendous, and that is sexual abuse of children. It could also be adults, but this is just the numbers that comes from something called Protection of Minors, and they say, as anything, any sort of that you would call sexual abuse. So the whole range of it, where a child is being sexually mistreated, is 120 million children every year are experiencing this in their life. 120 million children are experiencing somebody molesting them. So, and going to, this is still the humans, I'll go into the animals. 9 million people yearly die of starvation. And now let's just go into the factory farming. All these beings, every time you see a picture of one of my cows or one of my chickens, that is the being that we're talking about. There is a cow being, and there are 9 million cows. You just take one of the pictures of my cows and you add that up, 9 million living in factory farms who never ever see grass or sunshine. 9 million. There are 75 million pigs who are living that way too, who never ever see grass or sunlight. And there are 50 billion chicken living that way. And we can go into how many tons, millions and billions of tons of chemicals are being sprayed onto the earth every year. I mean, we can just go on and on and on and on. Horrendous things are happening on this planet, and that they have been happening for a very, very long time. And it's not interesting because it's all been going on for so long. It's not fresh news, but it's still happening. And that helps me, apart from many other things, it helps me to, the whole thing of, oh, now there's a fresh news, there's a fresh danger, there's a fresh horrendous thing. Well, what about all the other horrendous things that just keep going on and on and on? It is the human suffering that we are, we who, before we awaken, we do most harm, and we don't do it intentionally, but we do it because we are not conscious. And it is preventable. It is something that doesn't have to happen. You can have cows who are in sunlight and on grass, who create the most beautiful food for you, and who have a respect, who you show respect and love. And you can have a chicken on your table, a roast chicken from a chicken who has been allowed to express herself or himself in the sunlight and on the grass and amongst the trees. It's possible because it's been done ever since the beginning of time. You can have a beautiful pig roast from a pig who has been running around in the grass and playing in the sunshine and lying in the mud. And it will give you, of course, the most healing food you can get and the most nourishing food you can get. But you have given this being a life where you have treated it with respect, and you still get food on the table. And as they know now, the carbon footprint of these animals who are allowed to go outside it's not really there, because that's the way the animals have lived always, and they are contributing to the health of the soil. They're healing the land, and it's an eternal cycle. They help the earth keep giving, so that our grandchildren and great-grandchildren and all the ones coming after them can have their meat or whatever they want, animal products, on the table. Because they are giving life to the earth, so that the earth will keep producing year after year after year, and it won't stop. It's always been that way. And so now we've gone into this whole way of having animals, and the sicknesses that we have, this cancer and heart disease and all this. Yeah, let's go into that. Because I was just seeing somebody who had the coronavirus. He was quite a chubby man. He was sharing his experience with his wife, who was also quite overweight, which is really very normal now on our planet. And they were on this cruise, and the whole story, and how he got very sick, and he was a diabetic, which he said he's been for many years. He's insulin, he needs his insulin, and he survived, and now he's well, and he's actually helping people on the internet to calm down during this time, which is very lovely. But this is a very, very good example of when the coronavirus hits hard. That is when you are already in a bad state. Your immune system is in a bad state. And what they have proven now is that when you are insulin resistant, which you are, when you are insulin resistant, which you are when you eat a sugar-based, a carb-based diet, you are susceptible. You really have opened the door to being overweight, and you'll see it when the fat comes on the center of the stomach, center here. When you don't go in like this, but you actually go out on the middle, you know you are insulin resistant, and that opens the door because your cells are working in a way that is not optimal. It's far under optimal. And then you have opened the door to diabetes, cancer and heart disease, allergies, mental illness. That's what happens. And when your immune system is working that way, the coronavirus hits harder, of course, because your cells are not working optimally. And the incredible thing which I've shown to you with the way of when you remove the carbs and the sugars from your diet and you become you are a fat burner, you are no longer insulin resistant, and that means that all your cells are working much on a much higher level, much more efficient level, and you can do without food for a long time, which I'm experiencing now because I'm just having animal products, a very small amount of non-animal products, and you feel very satiated, and your energy comes up, and your immune system is much stronger. And if the coronavirus hits you, it won't hit very hard because you are already very strong. And of course the medical system is not telling us these things because there's no money in this. Because all you have to do to change your immune system is to leave the bread, leave the pasta, leave the rice, leave the cookies, and have fat and protein. And it sounds so scary to so many people, but when you see the stories, I've got videos in there, Eric Westman, who's helping morbidly obese people completely lose weight and completely change their lives to a better life, remove their diabetes and all these things. They have fat and protein. When you eat fat, you lose fat. And your immune system, of course, when your body changes shape and you become normal looking and you feel your energy comes up, is because your immune system's working better. And if it's the flu, the annual flu, if it's a coronavirus, if it's cancer, whatever it is that is there, that is possible to get, it won't hit you as hard because you're very strong. So that's just a little tip for you, that and as we are in this situation, we have all the time, those of us who are not working and who have much more time, have the space to say, okay, I'm going to change my life, so I'm going to help my immune system. And at the same time, when you're doing this, you've closed the door to cancer. It will be much harder for you to get cancer, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, mental illness. It's much harder for your body because it's physically quite difficult for your body to create a cancer or whatever it is. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. Yeah. This whole way of thinking, we have become victims because we have not... the wisdom of the old way of eating and the old way of being, as I was talking about in my last video, we have left that wisdom because we've been so busy with other things. And so now we have the cookies on the table and the pasta on the table, and we think it's normal because we've always been doing it, and our mother did it too, and everybody has to have their lollies and all this. We think it's normal, but it's not normal. It's abnormal. And our body cells are not built to live like that. We become sick from it. And it is so simple and actually extremely fast to completely change your metabolism. It's so amazing. Yeah. I love life. I love how we are constantly learning. If we want to, and we see that we are students of life, we can learn every day something new. And let me just go back to this, which I've mentioned so many times before, in which, of course, the person who, as we become enlightened, we realize that there is no thing that happens in my life that is ever out of place. It is not possible because all is one and all is interconnected, and I am part of life, and everything is in divine order. So, as the person who was in that other flat, who was on the fear base, he's looking for what's wrong now, because he believes that there's probably something wrong in my life, and I'm going to try to remove it. And that is the illusion, because there's no such thing as something wrong. It's always right. Even all these very horrendous things I've been explaining about or mentioning are right, because they're part of a growth process, to see that, oh my goodness, now I've done all this harm. What is it telling me? It's telling me this is actually very ugly and very horrible. How can I change? So every single thing, that's when we awaken, we realize it will never ever be anything that is so-called wrong in our lives. It's always right. And it's coming in the exact right time for me to learn that the exact lesson that this situation holds. It's so beautiful. Yeah, so I hope for you that you're getting to feel this more and more, that there's no such thing as something wrong. It's all right, and all is well. So, I just want to mention a funny little thing, which I didn't before, about the fat, being a fat burner, because there's so many fascinating people out there. I might put some links here, who are talking about this whole thing and how you heal more or less all diseases when you stop having all the carbs and sugar. And it's a man called Gary Fetchy. He's an Australian doctor who's been operating joints on people who are overweight and who have this metabolic syndrome for many, many years. And he learned this because he had cancer for many years himself, and he's completely healed. And so he's advising all his patients now to become fat burners. So they change their metabolism, because he can see it works, and it works on the joints, it works on everything. And he says he has a pin-up girl in his office where he sees his patients, and it's Queen Elizabeth, because she's a fat burner, and she's very well, a very, very healthy woman. So to help inspire his patients, he uses her as an example, that she's a fat burner too. And apparently, I just read in the paper, she hasn't got the coronavirus either. So anyway, yeah, let's do our Gabriel message. So today's message is number 4. And it is called, You Are Never Far from the Light. It is as close as your breath. Dear one, your breath is your connection to God. Breathing is the first thing you do when you arrive on earth, and the last as you depart. Your breath feeds your body and mind the oxygen it needs to exist. Your breath also holds the power to create an expansion in your energy, so you can be aware of your link to the source of all life. Divine light is showering upon you at all times, and it radiates from within your being to the world around you. This light holds the essence of peace and love. The more you are aware of your connection to this light, the happier you become. There are times when you may feel alone, and in turmoil because of situations in your life. It is at these times that breathing consciously and remembering the light of God will be helpful. When you pray to experience the power of your connection to the divine presence, you are opening a door in your mind to allow in more light. The more you open, the more you are flooded with light and love. Remember at these times that your breath is the key to opening this door. And here's a little practice. When you breathe in a conscious manner, taking in and releasing balanced breaths, it will compose your energy and allow you to focus on God. Continue to breathe and pray for greater awareness of divine presence in your life at all times. Ask to know your oneness with the divine as you breathe deeply, and anxiety will drop away. It is difficult to be upset when you are breathing deeply and openly. Part of your anxiousness is caused from breathing very shallow breaths. Your body starts to fear that it won't receive enough oxygen to live, so taking a few moments to breathe in a conscious way is very reassuring for your body as well as your mind. As you inhale, imagine you are breathing in the light of God and allowing it to flow into every cell of your being. As you breathe out, imagine that you are releasing everything within you that is not of your highest good. Each breath renews you as the light creates more clarity and focus. Divine love brings you peace. Remember that you are never alone. There are messengers from God in the form of angels who are available always to bring you peace and guidance. You can call on the angels and ask to know personally your guiding angelic presence. Prayer is always answered. You can ask for what you want to be or to have in your life, knowing that it will manifest for your highest good. You can release to the angels all that no longer serves you. Then give yourself time to breathe and receive the abundant level of love and wisdom carried by divine light. Your life will change in miraculous ways when you remember you are never far from the light. It is as close as your breath. This was a good one for our situation. Purification. So this was wonderful, I feel. While we have this time of much more quiet inwardness, to just feel, how am I breathing? And yeah, there's so many things we can do. That's really what my videos have been about all the time. How can I make my life better for myself? And just one thing I noticed, I got to think about yesterday, was how important it is, our posture. Because for many of us who feel very burdened, we do this with our head. So just practicing having a straight back while you're breathing, and you might even, while you're breathing, just lie down on something flat and just feel this beautiful flat straight back, because having this posture is very, very good for us too. Just feeling our head is soft on our shoulders. Our shoulders are soft and relaxed. Our breathing is free and deep. And feeling the gratitude that there's all this air to breathe. So this was another funny video with a lot of mixture, but yeah, whatever you could use, it's wonderful. So wherever you are in the world, thank you for being there, thank you for being you, and I pray that you feel the peace and the love more and more right where you are, and you feel the joy of being you. So take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.